This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Damn, Perk did this?
I don't need no one to save me. I was born to be the greatest. All that time in that basement, all that time isn't wasted. Rapping getting faded. I just wanna tell my mom that I made it. Just wanna be the topic of the conversation. Used to rock the gold plated. Now I'm wearing gold chains like I'm famous.
I forgot I was on mute. Let me run that back. Happy Saturday, everybody. It's Kings and Dreams. Got another great video topic tonight. I got ladies that we are going to have a conversation with, and I think is very interesting in these spaces, in these times. We have conversations here from the men's side. I want to hear from the ladies today. So this is an all ladies panel. And here we go. What's going on, ladies? Happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday. Go Dogs.
Oh, go Dogs.
Yeah.
What?
Georgia Bulldogs. They're playing Auburn today.
Oh gosh. Okay. How's everybody doing today?
Good.
Well,
Good. Doing well.
All right. Perfect. Okay. So, okay, I got you. I see you back there. Okay. Perfect. All right. So, let's go with Miss Polly. Just introduce yourself and let us know what you do and where people can find you.
all right. Yeah, so I'm Miss Polly. You can find me basically on most platforms under Miss Polly Wright. I basically talk about being poly, whatever kind of dynamic, it doesn't matter. So I kind of educate people on being polyamorous, polyandry, polygamy. And kind of talk about relationships also with monogamy and how to build better relationships. And so I've been kind of life coaching in that a little bit, organizing groups and support areas and Facebook and things like that. But just educating people on what it is and trying to see if that's something they would like to do into.
Okay, perfect. All right. Let's go with Jane.
Hey. I am a college student and I'm also in the National Guard. So that's a few things about me. I'm a full-time student for communication sciences and disorders, which means basically speech and audiology. I'm planning to be a speech language pathologist, hopefully at the VA. So we'll see. But yeah, that's just a little bit about me.
Okay, perfect. All right. So let's go with Taquana next.
Hello, my name is Tiquana. I'm not going to give my work, but I have a podcast called Flawed Tea and Talk, and it's about women empowerment. And we also provide men encouragement as well. So it's not just all exclusive to women. But my main focus is women empowerment, taking responsibility, accountability. We talk about relationship dynamics, spirituality, a range of topics. So I just want to empower and give as much as my advice as I can through my experiences that I've overcome.
Okay, perfect. All right. And let's go with Robin.
Hi, my name is Robin. I am a hairstylist here in LA, and I also have studied for the past couple years hypnosis. So I don't know, the subconscious mind and why we operate and why we do what we do has always interested me, especially in terms of the relationships we have. So I don't know, I'm just trying to encourage people as well with my experiences and yeah, thank you.
All right, perfect. All right, and then let's go with the red lipstick.
Hi, ladies and gent. I am the host of Red Lipstick Vibes podcast on every platform. We talk about some of everything. But especially we've tried to promote healthy relationships between men and women, especially during the days and times, promoting femininity. Also, I am a advocate for autism awareness. I'm an autism navigator, and I also help new parents that are newly diagnosed through the process. So that's what I do.
Okay, perfect. All right, then we'll go with Minka.
Hi, my name's Minka, and I also have a podcast I just started yesterday, so a little new. It's called Better Biatches, and it's just focused on not just. I mean, so far I love everyone, but I'm like stoked on this conversation because everyone's real, and it just talks about anything and everything: the manosphere, relationships, and female empowerment, male empowerment, zodiacs. Nothing's off topic. It's more of just a human empowerment. And yeah, that's all I'm gonna say for now. That's it. Thanks.
Perfect. Yeah, I did see it, and you brought some smoke. I was like, whoa, okay. All right, Jay, let's go with you.
Okay, hi. So my name is Japrice, but I go by Jay. Um, I am from Los Angeles, California, and I'm currently here. And I'm a stay-at-home mom.
All right, perfect. And then last but not least, V.
Hi guys. I am Veronica. I live in Dominican Republic, and I help people achieve their goals. I'm a Chief Strategy Officer and founder of NBOS, and we help people achieve success. We do life coaching, executive coaching, and this is an exciting conversation. I see different dynamics here, different cultures, different age groups, so it should be a good conversation.
Absolutely. I'm glad that you mentioned that because I was just about to mention that. And what I wanted to do was have a diverse panel. So this way I could get a lot of different perspectives. But thank you for calling that out. So the first question, and I'll start with you, Jay, and I'll just go from the top of my screen. So what do you think about the westernized ideals in relationships nowadays?
So when I read your question at first,
Mm-hmm.
I think it was like, what are your opinions on Western ideals? And
Right.
in a whole, I believe that modern Western ideals can get a little tricky and can be quite volatile. But like the traditional Western, ideals that were brought over here as far as individualism, people having individual rights and things like that, being respected as human beings. That idea I think is still important, and I think that's a good idea. And I do think people should bring that into their relationships. But as far as like some of the more modern stuff, like it's almost like, I don't know how other to describe it other than like very communist like, where people will come together and socialize and like basically beat up on other people if they don't agree with them and stuff like that. And I think that's something you shouldn't bring into relationships, because you can't really have true relationships like that. You're just friends with people who are an echo chamber, and I don't think that's healthy.
Okay. And then let's go with you to Kwana next.
So when we talk about ideals like this, it can range from all the way from monogamy to arranged marriages. I mean, there's a whole lot of places we can go with this. So I think for the most part, not to be controversial, but I agree with there's so much in there. I think the part that sticks out to me probably would be the monogamy part, not so much into the arranged marriages. I just don't know how we would culturalize it and bring it here. I believe in monogamy. That's the part I'm going to stick on. Everything else is kind of up in the air for me, and I can go a lot of different ways with it. So I'm going to stick with the monogamy part of Western idealism in relationships. I stand by that 100%.
Okay. All right.
That's
And,
one of the
and
facets in a
oh, I'm
broad.
sorry.
That's one of the facets in a very broad topic.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Let's go with Robin.
Hi. So when I read your question, yeah, I mean, it can go so many different directions considering what a person is looking for and what they want and how aware they are with what somebody else is looking for too. But, you know, I think it's interesting nowadays, especially in LA, that like dating here is hard. Or it can be. I mean, just because there's so many ideas of how someone should come to the table or how they should act or what they should want or what they should be like. So it's interesting. I don't know. I think monogamy is very important. I think it's a good quality to have if that's what you're looking for. And if not, communication is very important, which seems to be getting harder and harder with people these days. And just being who you are and bringing who you are to the table and seeing what the other person does with it.
Okay. All right. And then I'll go with Red Lipstick Vibes.
Repeat the question one more time, please.
So the question is, what do you think about westernized ideals when it comes to relationships?
Now it's trash, but anyway, we're kind of lost a little bit. I think that's why we have a lot of trouble actually bonding and pairing with each other, because we've taken on so much of more individualism. So it's kind of hard for people to actually pair together because everybody wants to be individuals and single and not coupled, if that makes sense.
It does. Okay. And then V.
I'm going to answer the question with a question. I think I need you to define what you mean by Western ideals, because unless you define it, there's so many things that we could discuss about it. I mean, at one point, it was a transactional thing, marriage, right? It wasn't even about love. So it transformed into that. So if you can clarify your question, I think we'll be able to answer a little bit more direct.
Well, I think everyone is answering the question. So I would say, what do you interpret? So I'm going to turn it right back on you. So what do you interpret from that question?
I mean, from what everyone says on the panel, I'm kind of processing and listening, right? We all want different things. And honestly, it depends on what you're looking for as an individual. I want the freedom that most people want to live our lives the way that we would like to live our lives and not solely depend on someone else or have to ask someone else permission to do something or have to include someone else, not being able to be selfish, right? So when I hear, you know, like Red Lipstick saying, well, I think people are not getting to know each other or be that individual, it stems back to something that I truly believe, that we need to learn ourselves first. We need to understand who we are as a person, be the better person to ourselves before we can be good to someone else. So taking the time to know yourself is key. And one thing that I think is missing a lot today, especially because of how people are hooking up, is that they're not taking the time to get to know the other person before moving to, you know, the next step in a relationship.
Okay. All right. Jay, sorry, I skipped you because I know you had to calm down, but it's all good.
It's okay. So the question was, what do I think about westernized relationships?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I guess the modern Western relationships, so when I hear the word like westernized relationships, I think of like feminism. I think of like reverse role, switch roles. I guess everybody has their own take on it, or if they like it or dislike it. But that's just what I think about it. Like when it comes to my mind. So I'm not for sure if we're saying like if we agree with it or not. But that's just what I think about it. I think about different dynamics or relationships and gender roles being switched and things of that nature.
Okay, gotcha. And then I'll go with you, Miss Polly.
Okay. Hope you guys can hear me pretty okay. I don't know. Internet
Yeah, I
signal's
can
kind of
hear you.
acting up, but good. So, I would say we're like in this changing world right now, and not that it hasn't been changing prior to, but it's just changing a lot faster um, than usual. So things that maybe took a slower time to change are changing a lot faster now with technology, all these things that should change, um, and just a combination of things that have made things different. Like the dating pool is a lot different. It used to be, you'd have to find someone in local because a lot of people didn't travel as much. You find someone local within a certain age frame, maybe like 10 years max, most of the time. Now you're competing with people who are possibly twice your age, younger than you, because people are getting plastic surgery and things like that, so they can look a little bit younger. They're dealing with that. They have people who are transgender now. They're dealing with a different pool of people, and the pool is a lot bigger. And not only that, you're dealing with people who are long distance out of the country, and you're dealing with a larger pool. And I think it's harder for people to settle. I know it's not supposed to settle, but finding someone you want, because there's so many options available now that everyone second guesses their choices. So I think that's why a lot of new kind of relationships are coming out of that too, where okay, well, if I should I only be monogamous and things like that. So, but if you choose to be monogamous, you have so many options out there. It's just a little bit different than it was prior to. So I don't know if it's bad or good. It's just changing, different. You got to change with the times.
Understood. Minka, did I skip you by any chance? Okay, all right. So because I know, I think it was when Jay dropped, everyone kind of shifted. So sorry about that.
No,
But
that's okay.
yes,
I would
yeah.
have reminded you.
All right. So
Uh,
yes,
so the question is, what do I think about westernized relationships?
pretty much yes, correct.
Okay. I am Hispanic, so I grew up really traditional, and so you know, I think there's good and bad on both ends. I think that this westernized idea of, and this is my personal belief, this I there's a psychologist that was talking about more men wanting to be actors. And when they first started with male actors, they would pick them from like these guys that were farmers or mechanics, the manliest men that they could find, and they would turn them into actors. And what's happened is this ideology of men wanting to be manly men, but not actually being that. And I think that's a part of this idea of the westernized relationship where there's nothing wrong with two incomes in a household and going 50-50, 75-40, or 75-35, whatever the number is, 25, sorry. I don't think that there's anything wrong with it until it comes into play and making people believe that that's the only way. Meaning, like, if I end up with a man that he takes care of everything and I become a housewife, I think that's fantastic. If I end up with someone that wants to make all my entrepreneurial dreams come true and he's able to do that financially, I think that's fantastic too. If it's also that I am a modern woman and I want to work and provide and I'm the household taker and my husband's a stay-at-home dad, I think that's wonderful. I think every which way is wonderful. I think the issue that everyone's having is someone saying this is the way and the rest of you are wrong. That's, I think, the only issue.
So well, thank you all for your perspective. So this is my perspective and conversations that I've had with men, and so I would say that there are a lot of men um, who are not really who they portray themselves to be. I agree with that, right? Also, what I would say is that to to those men who are not being who they portrayed themselves to be, is usually because of the empowerment of having a single household. So if there's no one there to teach a man how to be a man, then what ends up happening is that man typically has feminine energy. Not in all cases, but in most cases.
Can I say something about that?
Absolutely.
It's because it's the same thing for women. So you can take me as an example. I grew up with a lot of masculine energy, both parents, but definitely like, I'm an independent woman, I will show you. And my hardest lesson was allowing a man to be a man, allowing them to, sorry, my dog's drinking water, allowing them to like pay for, oh my God, paying for dinner was like the hardest thing I had to learn how to allow a man to do. All that I have to say in that regard is we are only defined by our past for a certain period of time. Once you become an adult at a certain level, it's your responsibility. So all these men that are saying like, I didn't have a man to teach me how to be a man, we have YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, all these things. And I say that from experience as a woman that has had to learn how to be more feminine and submissive in the role of, I wanted to be that way. I didn't want to be this like aggressive person anymore. I was tired. And I learned, and now I have a lot of healthy relationships. I know how to treat men. I know how to appreciate them. I know how to respect them. So just, I think that that's an excuse that we keep harping on both sides, city girls and city boys.
That's an interesting point because there is social media and there are other outlets, right? So I agree from that standpoint. I also would say, not to necessarily push back on what you're saying, but I would also say that in today's society, especially in the westernized cultures, that men are not promoted in being in the house as much as they should. In more traditional places, they are, but in more westernized cultures, they're not.
But that also takes a toll on men. Like, I'll say this, you can go on any platform, social media platform, and you see these guys, not the guys that are posing in front of airplanes and saying, I got it like that, but the actual ones that work their asses off for their families. They're watching their children on their birthday at their soccer games through a video screen, through FaceTime. That, like, you can see some of these men breaking down saying, I'm watching my children grow up through video and I'm not present. So just, I think there's a double standard in everything that you talk about that has to be highlighted. I don't see a single female in this panel. I love the women that you chose because it doesn't seem like anyone is one way or another. Everyone's just trying to get to whatever the truth is and what's going to be better for our children and our children's children.
Okay. Any other feedback on that? Because I don't want it to just be Kiggs and Mika just go back and forth.
Shut me up, please.
Nah, you're good. Go. Anyone else?
I think I agree with pretty much a lot of what Minka said. And then I'm just so over the whole what I didn't see growing up. Because, I mean, there's so many different ways you can learn things. There are so many different ways you can see things outside of what you grew up in. Because at some point, it becomes a choice to stay the way you are. So I'm not belittling anyone that's went through things because I've gone through things. I've seen things. I've been hurt. I've gone through a lot of things. And at some point you have to make a choice what you're going to do, how you're going to live, how you're going to respond to things that happen to you. You can either stay stuck in the dysfunction that you grew up in, or you can make a decision and say, I don't want to continue this path because I know whether or not you grew up in it or not, you know the difference between right and wrong. Now, programming is different as far as like, it depends on what experience you had. So, yeah, I can go a lot of places with this. To me, there's no excuse. Seriously, I'm real stuck on that whole, look, make a decision. Especially as an adult. It's like you're talking about stuff that happened like 20 years ago. So you either go get counseling. If you don't go counseling, you need to surround yourself around people that can pour positivity into you and get out of that rut that you're in.
Yeah,
so
that's
accountability is key.
That's what I've been learning the last month. myself, I'm probably the youngest person on the panel, and I'm in that stage of my life where I'm choosing to be, kind of reparenting myself a little bit and changing some of the ways I want to move forward as who I'm going to be, like what my family's going to go through, and like how I'm going to be with them versus like where I came from. So I definitely agree. I think that's just a major thing you got to do is like you can't keep blaming your family or whoever for the way you are. Like, if you know you have a problem, you're an adult, you need to fix it.
When I think it's also noted that it's hard.
Have a problem.
Right. It's not easy. It's not like, oh, woo.
But it's worth it.
But like, right. But the thing is, you got to start learning how to equip yourself with the things you need to be a better, successful individual.
I think that takes time, and sometimes it's people get so busy in life, and it's still not an excuse. But I think the way society set it up that you have to hustle this hard. Like hustle culture is huge. Like I have to go after this, this, and this. It should. I think more and more we're seeing that it should be like it's okay to take time to address those things, to make those changes. In fact, it's better for you. It's going to create a better you. And that's, again, like Mika said, on both sides, women and men. Like, I remember being in relationships where, the person would be like, oh, I am this way because my dad's this way.
Right.
And it was like an instant, like, that doesn't feel right. And, looking more into it, I'm like, no. That's who you're choosing to be now. Now that's a choice. And that's a very big difference in recognizing if somebody's kind of stuck, and I just want to say it this way, stuck in a victim mentality.
Right.
That this is how I am now, accept it or leave.
Right.
Versus let's bring it to the table and see, can we have a conversation about it? What changes can I make? Do I want to make them? Do they want to make them? Am I willing to take the time to address this? There's a lot of factors that play into it, I think.
Yeah.
But it is important for growth, and that's how you, like, I think when looking at people or yourself, it's like, am I willing to grow, or will I stay the same? Victim or taking responsibility and accountability.
Right.
And this hustle culture is that's the reason why relationships and friendships and all kind of ships are the way that they are, because everybody's in a rush to take care of the things they need to be able to sustain, but their relationships are sloppy. They're not able to come together, and like Ty said earlier, it's just not working. You have individuals coming into relationships, staying individuals and not working out what they grew up in, their dysfunction, and they're bringing it over into the relationship. So you got it, because you can make all the money in the world and still be a crappy person. You can make all the money in the world and still end up alone because you don't know how to function in a relationship because you didn't take care of what issues you had. Mm-hmm. So it's all about choices.
You see a lot of people unhappy too. It's like a lot of people will achieve that level, or what they call, whatever success is agreed upon. Like Mika said, jets and stuff like that. You'll see people like that. I've seen people like that. And they're just searching for happiness in anything outside themselves, when it's really like, you haven't addressed you. You haven't addressed you, and your relationships around you are failing. Or not failing, but they're just not what you want them to be, right? Maybe they are failing. But yeah, hustle culture has a lot to do with the fact that we're going and going and going, and I have to achieve this, and my level of my standard that I hold myself to is based off what I achieve versus who I am on the inside. What do I hold myself to? What morals and accountability am I holding myself to? Right.
I will say that I deleted my social media for 3 weeks, and I did a lot of self-work. So it is possible. I think there's a lot of things that the world puts in front of us so that we're distracted. And I think when you recognize that you're distracting yourself, you can get out of that rut. You can replace those distractions with stuff that's really going to help you, like reading psychology books, or reading the Bible, or just, working on stuff, or watching, self-help videos. Things like that, I think, are better for your time than they are just scrolling on an Instagram for hours and then wasting your time. Because I do think a lot of people do that.
She is very wise to be a young lady.
I know, right? I was like,
and I think another problem is that we are in the age where everything is instant. Nobody wants to do the work anymore. They want it
Microwave.
quick and fast. So it's that microwave, thing. If I can't do it right now, if it's not fixed in one day, then I give up.
Yeah.
So I think that's another big problem that we're having. And when it comes to relationships, my dad would say it all the time. No matter how long you even married to someone, you're never gonna know them, because each person is forever changing. So you're always gonna learn something new about the person that you're with. You're never gonna know them straight out. So we can't use that wait till 5, 6, 9, 10 years to get to know them and then get married. You still don't know them after that. It's a process.
You really don't ever get to know a person, because there's one thing that's constant in life, and that's change, right? We all change as we grow older. We are to some extent a product of our environment, because if you're doing something that is not normal, right, but it's considered normal in your culture, in your environment, then you don't know you have a problem. So step number one is understanding yourself to know whether or not you have a problem that you need to address, because you do become a product of your environment. If you ever seen Three Identical Twins, it's a kind of like a documentary about three boys that were separated at birth. So to a certain extent, genetics play a role in who you are. To a certain extent, you become a product of your environment. But as you grow older, the one thing that's definitely missing in today's society are the tools at a young age for people to understand how to deal with changing, evolving, and becoming just a good human being. You don't know you're doing bad unless someone points it out to you. You don't know you have a problem unless you actually come across the fact that it's a problem. So really taking time to understand you is number one. And Jane, you are incredible at your age to be able to understand that you need to go through that. So you must have had really good influences in your life, and you were exposed to something that drove you in that direction. I see today less and less of communities getting involved. There's no attention to the fact that the younger girls don't have outlets to understand, hey, this is what it's like to be a role model or to be an independent person, or here are the tools you need to be able to know yourself as a person. So there are, so many different elements that play into becoming the person that you are, that you really do need to become aware and spend the time just knowing yourself and knowing who you are as a person. And we all have our ups and our downs. We all have our good points and our bad points. Children that were raised as a only child tend to be a little bit more selfish than most, right? If the parents just kind of shoved them to the nanny or kind of put them in daycare and didn't teach them how to play. There was a study done recently that if a child doesn't know how to play with other children by the time they're 4 years old, that person will have a lifetime of issues getting along with coworkers and everyone else. So I think as a society, we need to pay more attention to what our kids are into and what direction we give them. And we also need to understand that not everyone is born knowing, and sometimes you don't know you have a problem. So communication and honesty is important in any phase of relationship, but especially at the beginning, because you might come across someone who you think is awesome, right? But they don't know they're a little bit of a narcissist. So if you're honest, you can let them know what the problem is without insulting them, without letting, without putting them on a bad course, but just kind of like an FYI, hey, for your improvement, you got some things we need to work out. So communication is key.
As I was trying to say, in relationships, it takes work. And these times, a lot of the modern men and women, don't want to take the time to do the work, is what I was trying to say. Do the work in it. And so that's why they tend to leave the relationships or leave the marriages when it gets hard, because they don't want to do the work. They want everything instant and nothing that's really hard to deal with. As soon as something gets hard or something they don't understand, they're ready to say deuce. That's what I'm speaking to.
Can I say something?
I agree with that. I'm sorry, is that Robin?
The instant gratification.
Minka.
No, I was saying, can I say something?
Oh, no, that's you, Minka. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, go ahead.
I kept on almost, and I don't want to interrupt anyone because I hate when that happens. I will say that I agree with the community, especially with Red Lipstick, what you're saying in regards to people having less effort to try in relationships, whether it be friendships, jobs, intimate relationships. But that does come from what you were saying, V. A lot of people, I'll tell you this, grew up really, 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 really hood. And my mom tells me all the time, none of the girls from your barrio made it out. And there was a study that they made that they were trying to understand what differentiates people that make it out or that try or have better relationships given any circumstance. And the one thing that they found, whether you were in suburbia or in the hood or anywhere, was the grit and the ability to continue on. And that goes into relationships. I think the biggest lesson that we can teach people and each other is consistency, is just keep trying. Because I've been there where it's like, I have 2 businesses and Robin has seen me on the floor crying and saying like, I can't do this. And then I keep on doing it, and I think that's the same thing that we're all lacking, because I also, in relationships, consistency wise, I am not good with consistency. If you call me, I can be there for your breakup, for your death, something catastrophic. I am that good friend. But when it comes to the regular, hey, how are you? I don't have time for that. And that's
good you know that though.
No, but that's also something that, because I have been that way, I have had repercussions in my life. I've been away for the past month in Florida with my uncles. They were gay and married and everything, and they're like each other's person, right? Like a love story. Because of my own inconsistency, I was supposed to go see them earlier this summer, and I didn't go out there until my Uncle John was dying in the hospital from cancer. So that's my lesson that I have to learn, and I have to then make the choice to apply that into all of my relationships. I called everyone that I've been ignoring, all the people that are good in my life, and I said, I am so sorry for my inconsistency. I'm going to be working on this. That's all it is. So everyone's talking about not being exposed to it. Okay, well, we have all of these different things. Everyone wants to say that I work in social media. Everyone wants to say how terrible it is, how distracting it is. If I'm hyper-focused on my healing journey, that's all that's going to pop up on me. That's helping me. If I'm hyper-focused on building another business, let's say it's plumbing, that's all that's going to pop up for me. That's my hype. It's what we choose. The idea is the idea of a victim mentality is something that, yes, that hurt me, but I'm going to transmute that into something that's going to push me forward and catapult me into the best version of myself. That is what people need to understand. We all like to use the victim mentality, and I myself hate that connotation because it sounds so cold and so hurtful. And when people told me that, it just buried me deeper in my victim mentality. How dare you talk to me this way when you have no idea what I've gone through? But when you explain to people you can utilize that hurt and pain into being a better version of yourself, then that's where a conversation can be brought in. And it doesn't matter what your background is. It doesn't matter who you are or where you're from. If you're exposed to one individual like that in any hood, it's going to make a difference.
I think
Exactly. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I think kind of just to piggyback off what you said, and what you said, lipstick as well. It's like we do want things now. However, you learn your lessons, whether it's just taking a deeper look at yourself or something catastrophic has to happen, a breakup, you lose that person you really loved, but you didn't know how to treat them, or a passing of a loved one. Whatever, whether it's just you decide to take that deeper look because all these things are popping up, or something happens, that's kind of your point to either choose to take a look at it. And I mean, I like what you brought up about, encouraging people to take a look, because it's not easy. Let's just put that out there. With being busy, with having the habits and, personality traits that we have for so long, to stop that and take a look at like what we've been doing and make those changes, that takes effort. It takes care. It takes consistency. And where Lipstick was saying, we want things now. I know for me personally, like I'll, with wanting it now, like I'll notice a behavior pattern that I need to change within myself. And I'll be like, okay, I meditated. Today's the day. I can figure it all out in one day. And that's just not the case. It's like, it takes time, right? It takes consistency over a period of time to change certain behaviors. And that's the effort I think that should be encouraged. Like, hey, it's not going to be in a day. It's okay. Like, I see you. I understand you. Keep doing what you're doing. I encourage you, rather than sometimes we'll look at a person and it's like, well, you're doing this wrong. Especially in relationships, we can tend to be like critical and criticism versus encouraging somebody, right? And coming to the table, how we choose to speak to them and present an issue. That can play a big part in it too. Like if I'm pointing the finger at you and saying, this is what you're not doing, that's very different than like, hey, you know, I'm noticing this and I'd like to talk more about it. Are you willing to have that conversation? Because like, this is what I see, right? Planting those seeds versus like pointing a finger at somebody and criticizing them matters too, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Can I say something? It's okay. I just wanted to add something. Because I was listening. I know what Lipstick was saying earlier, kind of about, you know, people just wanting that instant gratification. Like I really feel that. Like a lot of relationships are just very shallow. Very, very shallow. It's usually, you know, I want to see how you look. You have to look a certain way, and then, you know, you have financial stability. I've never, you hear people say, oh yeah, but I want them to be nice and treat nice. But at the end of the day, what you're looking for are those things. Even it shows in our apps and things like that. Why is Tinder so popular? You're just swiping. I mean, this guy could look great and have horrible qualities, and you're just swiping yes. So now you're linked to this person just based on your visual. So everything's very, very shallow, I think. And putting in the work to actually see if this is someone who you match with well for long term is just not something that I think the generation is looking for. If they're not looking for that, and I don't think that's right. I think they're not thinking about the tomorrow. They're thinking about right now. Who can I get right now? Who's gonna be on my arm when I go to this party? Who's gonna be here in a couple of weeks, you know, or go on this vacation and we take photos? It's nothing about like who's gonna be there if I get sick? Who's gonna be there if I lose my job? What's gonna happen if something goes wrong? What if I'm having a really bad month? What if I lose my parents and I can't work through it? Will you be there? They're not thinking about those things, those connections that you should be trying to make. They're not trying to make those connections. They're just trying to see who's here right now in the moment, who can give them what they need right this moment. And if you're not fitting that qualification, they don't want you. And I think that's where it's like, you can't do that. And I've even had to modify myself, because even when I started kind of being poly, I had in my mind, I'd be like, you know, I don't really talk to this kind of guy. And I said, and it wasn't like money or anything, it was just more like, oh, you know, maybe they're light skinned. That means they have a lot of girls on them, or they're really tall. And I said, stop doing that. Stop doing that. You see someone, you meet them, they're cool, get to know them. And that has really changed who I bring my way when it comes to good partners who are going to really be there for me and want to work towards something. Because I know what I'm looking for also. So that was back to what he was saying, kind of finding out who you are as a person. How can you start looking for someone when you don't know what you really want? That doesn't even make sense. I don't know what I'm looking for. So I'm just going to pick up all the stuff I can find. I'm going to try you, damage you. And then at the end of the day, you know, then when I used everybody up, I'm going to be like, why can't I find anyone? Learn from what you're doing. You know, hey, I tried this kind of relationship. I don't like it. Why don't I like it? You got to kind of analyze yourself and then go back and review yourself. You have to take that moment to take it in. That's why people like date and you'll see them like with someone in 2 days. How can you be ready for a relationship when you ain't even really finished the last or thought about what you or him were doing wrong? So I just think it's a lot of the pace, the shallowness. It's just like they're not in the right mind frame to find the relationships that were built on longevity, built on now. And so it's kind of messed up. And that's why we're not getting these good, you know, then everyone's blaming it on something and else, you know, oh, well, they didn't have enough money. They didn't spend enough time with me. And it's like, okay, but find out why. Do you need a lot of time? There's some people who are very, very needy. Why are you being with someone who works a lot and you're very needy when it comes to time? You have no point to be with someone like that, but you want him because he got money. Make it make sense. Find someone who matches you. that makes sense.
I
That's gonna
love that you
last.
said
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It's just kind of strange to me to watch, but
you're literally saying the same exact experience I just had. I was dating a doctor and he
oh,
yeah, I'm needy. I'm super needy. and that was the reason when he asked why not. It was like, I'm too needy for you. Either I'll end up hurting you or you'll end up hurting me. And I love that you're
I'm
saying
sorry, y'all. My internet's weird. I'm in the corner.
That's why, you're so right. Because when I hear all the ladies talking about, I want a high value man, I want a man that makes all this. Child, you never gonna see that man. How you think he make all that money? He's
I'm finding out I need someone that's going to be financially stable, but like has time for me. That's what I'm figuring out.
Yeah. I'm okay. I can always use my parents as an example. Like my dad has his own construction company. My dad will leave home 4:30 in the morning and will not come home until like 8-9 o'clock at night.
If you're needy,
And that was like 40 something years. So if you constantly need your man around, be careful what you ask for.
Get a Fortune 500 man who has a stay-at-home job who works from the computer. There you go.
But that's
and even that sometimes that can be tedious too, because you hear the women, they complain about when the men is in front of the what's that thing that they play all the time. So they complain about that. So if you got a man in front of the computer all the time, you might complain about that too.
You said about that's what I do. I'm literally in front of the computer all day, so that would be great. But we'll see if that ever happens.
All right.
Can I ask, is it okay, just because I had this conversation the other day, Kings and Dreams, if it's okay, can we go around and see what our definition of a high value man is? Because I know I was just talking about this with a friend the other day, and I think over time, the way, like the true definition and then the understood like definition that everybody is like talking about a high value man, can we
Yes, absolutely. But let me just get to the comments first, because I see a lot of conversations going on in the chat. So I just want to say what's up to everyone. But that is a great question, Robin. I definitely would love to hear you ladies' perspectives on that. Red Lipstick Vibe says hit the like button, share, and subscribe. I appreciate you. Felicia Jordan, welcome to Kings and Dreams channel. Please wipe your feet at the door. Definitely make sure that you guys are liking this video, share this video, and also hit the notification button. Garnet Scientists, Kings and Dreams, share, like, comment, and subscribe. I hope I'm not messing your name up. Rafiki, I believe that's how you say that. What's going on? Learn to Travel TV, my guy, ladies' night. What's going on? Charles Jones, what's up, everyone? Only here for a hot minute. Hey, man, I appreciate you coming through, man. Even if it's for a few minutes, whatever, man. I appreciate it. Top Gun, my guy. Salute, man. Salute. Let's see. Big Cap. What's good, everybody? What's going on, man? Let's see. Time to retire. Big ups, Kings and Dreams, and salute to the panel. Man, time to retire. Big up yourself, man. I appreciate you. Let's see. Garnet Scientist. V's being modest. V is a boss, the Don daughter. She runs DR. She's not regular. I will say V definitely was being modest a little earlier. V's definitely a boss. I will say that.
I'm always modest. Am I not modest sometimes?
Yes. No, you are. You are. And but the thing about it is, most successful people typically are modest anyway.
Well, thank you for that.
Absolutely. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I think the panel has some good comments and questions, so I appreciate you going through them.
Yeah, I'm trying to get to all of them. But I didn't want to interrupt you guys talking, so but I've been looking. Razor Rays Double R, shout out to you, man. Wow, what a panel. Let's see here. Mrs. She said, shout out to you. Hey, what's up? Hey, what's up? Red Lipstick Vibes. Who's that keeps dropping? Um, good day. I'm sorry. Good day to the whole panel. Beautiful ladies. Peace, Brother Kings. Peace to you, sister. I appreciate it. Let's see. People are just saying what's up. Let's see. OW504. Salute to the panel and chat. Salute to you, OW. Okay, let's see here. Mrs. She said, women have to get back to trying understanding men, their purpose, their role, and respecting it, instead of trying to build them up to fix the model they made. I'm sorry, the model they made in their minds. Any feedback on that one?
Well, I think that because we're forever changing and evolving, we need to understand each other, because both sides are changing, not just the men, not just the women. And we need to continue to understand what it is that we like and we don't like. Because someone was mentioning before, what are you going to do? Become a serial dater and hurt everybody? You don't have to be. I mean, dating is supposed to be a journey for you to find out what you like and what you don't like. Where people get hurt is when there are hidden agendas and bad intentions, right? So we do have to take the time to try to understand each other as we evolve and we change in this forever changing world.
All right. Travelmatic. Well done, Kings. You got a woman conference on here. Good work, bro. I appreciate you. Appreciate you tuning in, man. DMR, what's up, Kings? What's up with you, man? Listen, if you want a private consultation with myself, you can email me at kingsandreamspodcast@gmail.com. Definitely make sure that you reach out to me, or you can reach out to me via Instagram as well. Let's see. Okay, so Mrs. She said, double standards are here to stay. Many favor us women. Privilege is invisible to ones who have it. I agree with that.
I don't understand that.
Okay, well, what basically what I get from what she's saying is that the double standards mainly favor the woman as opposed to the men.
I don't know. I think this was an earlier comment to something we were talking about. The comments are like delayed, so this is probably something that was said
in
response to something that was said earlier.
Okay, no worries. Hey to James and all the ladies. Come on, Marie. You forgot the Y in my name, but yes, what's up? Black Man Travels. No more excuses on both sides. Learn from others, apply, and move correctly.
Period.
Mm-hmm.
That's what brings me back to the whole while I understand, and of course we've all heard of the product of your environment, and it is a true statement. It's just we got to be careful with that, because most people use that as an excuse to stay in the behavior that they know. And I'm going to say they know, because at some point in your life, you're going to know what's right, and you're going to choose whether or not you continue, like I said earlier, in the path that you're taking, or if you're going to go the other way. So a product of your environment, yes, but that's the reason. That's not the excuse. So you are the way that you are because this happened, but that's not an excuse to continue on in it. So I'm kind of like, when I hear that, it kind of makes me cringe a little bit, because people, especially people that don't want to change, because people know when they're not right, especially in relationships.
You said the key word, don't want to, right? So I tell people all the time, there's two things in life, right? Opinions and excuses. They're like buttholes. Everybody got one. Doesn't mean it's valid. Doesn't mean, I need to follow that, all of it. I'm with you. And I think that we do need to make better choices. We also need to educate our kids, our young communities, our future leaders, how to have those tools to understand, hey, wait a minute, I realize this isn't right. So now how do I change that? What do I need to do to become better? And once we understand that and we become the best versions of ourselves, is that we can then be in a fruitful relationship and a good standing relationship, because then you know who you are. And I always tell people do to you what you allow them to do to you. As soon as someone does something to me that I don't like, the first words that come out of my mouth is, I'm sorry, but I don't like that. And I might skip the I'm sorry part, but I make it very clear, I don't like it. Please don't repeat it. And if you choose to repeat it, then you're not the person to be in my life, whether it's a friend, a business associate, whatever it is. So I agree with what they're saying. Like, people make a lot of excuses why they're not doing things, but understand that we also need to do better at being communicative and expressing ourselves, because a lot of times we either too shy to do it, or we feel like if we say something, we're going to ruin the relationship. And at some point in life, you realize that people come in and out of your life for a reason, and maybe people come into your life to teach you a lesson, and then you got to keep it moving. But learn your lesson, don't repeat the same mistakes, and become a better version of yourself.
Well, you know what? Yeah, I agree with what you said too. On both sides of that, it's like people come in with, whether it's their traumas, their behavior, stuff like that, and whether they're willing to work on it, or whether they're saying this is just the way I am, and if they want to go with that narrative. But kind of like how V said, on the other hand of that, it's like, have you developed your skills and being able to speak up for yourself and know your value of like, oh, I don't like that, and I'm going to verbally communicate it. And I say that because I've been on the side where I co-signed a lot of stuff that I wasn't okay with because of fear of being alone, fear of rocking the boat, being a people pleaser, right? And those are issues that I had addressed within myself, but I hadn't done that yet. So I would co-sign that. And I think it's one of the biggest things I understood was by not speaking up, I wasn't allowing this person to understand with me, learn that lesson. This is not okay. And they continue to do those behaviors. So it's like, okay, now with this, now I'm letting you continue in your behavior that probably isn't beneficial for you. And it's not something I'm even okay with. So I think that also goes back to knowing yourself, your own value. Do you value yourself enough to be able to walk away from something that's not for you and take it as a learning experience? Are you able to say, hey, I'm lonely, maybe I don't know how to sit alone with myself, and that's something I have to take a deeper look at, right? There's a lot on both sides of responsibility with that. And are you willing to sit there and do the work? So.
You have to be willing to do the work, right? And I hear everyone saying that we are in the culture of instant gratification. But even though there are certain things that can instantly do that for you, the real work with learning yourself, with being a good partner in any type of relationship takes time and work. And that only comes, with you allowing it. So we all need to allow ourselves to go down those paths.
And you have to do that before you get into the relationship. You don't get into the relationship and try to do it. So I think that's a misconception as well. Like, if I get with this person, we can work together. No, you need to fix you.
Yeah, but you also are going to work on developing together because you grow old together. If you get into a relationship,
that's different. I'm talking about prior. I'm not talking about when you're in. I'm talking about getting into relationships broken, getting into relationships when you're dysfunctional, getting into relationships when you have not figured out who you are. You can't figure out who you are getting with somebody else.
Agreed.
That's not taking accountability.
Process. Absolutely.
I disagree.
That's fine.
To a certain extent. I agree with what you're saying to a certain extent. Like, there's a certain level of like toxic crazy ass that I got to get rid of before I enter a healthy relationship to give it a fighting chance. But I also know that there's a saying, if you ever want to get to know yourself, get into a relationship, because there's nothing like being with someone and then they trigger all sorts of things that you didn't even look at before, right? Because I've been alone for a while, but every time I start dating someone, I'm like, oh, there's that thing I need to work on. Oh, there's that thing that's bothering me. Why is that bothering me? It just, I think it's all enmeshed together. There's no like, there's no one all works for everyone. You know what I mean? Like, I'll tell you this, one of my mentors, she was a wreck. She was a hoe. She was all sorts of things. And when she got together with her husband, he kind of like catapulted her of like, if you want to be with me, this is my circle. This is what we do. And she rose up, and now they've been married. They got married in their 40s. They've been married. They're now in their 70s. And I love them. They're like one of my ideal examples, right? And then I also have examples of like two people coming together, like my uncles, complete individuals, completely healthy with their past traumas, came together and were able to have a healthy relationship as well for 10 years up until the death. I just think that there's a magnitude of ways of going through it. I think you learn out of a relationship as well as into a relationship. But I also think that like my own personal preference is you have to basically be trying to not be a piece of crap to be in my sphere of people that I allow in my world. If you're trying the hardest to be a good person, good. If you mess up and you keep trying to fix it, awesome. But if you're messing up and you're just trying to like cover it up and it's not my problem, it's not me, it's all you, that's where I have a boundary, whether it's relationships or friendships or anything.
Gotcha. All right. Shout out to the Flyboy Way. I appreciate you tuning in. Let's see what this one says. Mrs. She said, many of our sisters blame the man for them choosing wrong or not being able to see through the representative they present. Bad boy underneath, good man mask.
I have a
Thoughts?
whole workshop that'll help you identify those people. I mean, listen, you never, I do have a whole workshop on that, but you really never get to know someone, right? And that's why I always tell people you have 6 months of meeting with a person's representative before you start seeing some kind of light into who they really are. So I always push and promote, take the time to know someone. And depending on what stage you are in life, you might not have that much time. Maybe you're trying to get married and you want to expedite the process. There are ways of vetting people. It all depends on, what you're looking for. But when it comes down to mating with someone, with hooking up with your ride or die person, have standards, because a lot of young girls today don't have standards. If the dude has a big wallet, that's all they require. So one of the questions that Kings you had was, what do you expect the other person to bring to the table?
Wait a minute. Let me get there.
Wait, can we highlight something around there? Because you're talking about even I'm just gonna say it. Let's talk about sex. In this scenario, sorry. You're talking.
It's all
about,
good. We all got in this earth somehow, some way.
Right? Okay, but that's a big thing too. I think what you're saying is people show you their mask and they'll show you the best selves, and we don't take the time to get to know people. And it's such a hookup culture nowadays. It's such a, hey, what's up? It's all good. Da-da-da-da-da. Yeah, let's sleep together. Okay, let me now get to know you. But the real thing is, it's and if I know some women that you're at that stage, if you're good with that and you're good with you and that works for you, by all means, do that. But if you're in a different stage, like you're saying, where you are expecting to get to know somebody on a deeper level, their morals, their values, it's I think it's important we consider this hookup culture is kind of making it really difficult, in the sense of now my feelings and emotions are kind of intertwined with what you're giving me, because I have that attraction. I mean, I don't care. For me personally, I start getting that attraction, and it's it's skewed based off if I don't sleep with you and I'm getting to know you. I have a little bit more time, I'm operating a little bit more logically to look at the actions you're giving me versus what you're saying, right? Does that make any sense to anybody?
I think when you talk about the hookup, culture, right? I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Somebody said in the comments, people want what they want. Listen, I'm all for it. I have friends that I say to them, if that makes you happy, then I love it for you, because I'm nobody to tell you what's going to make you happy. What the problem is that people are not being honest, because there's nothing wrong. There's plenty of us that will go on a dating site, will hook up, will look for a hookup, and that's all it is, a hookup. But if you're out there looking for a hookup and you're portraying yourself as looking for a significant other, that's where the problems come in, right? So if we start being honest with ourselves and being honest with everyone else, listen, what are you looking for? I just want I just want somebody to bang me out. Well, okay, let's go then, because I'm with that. But if you're telling me, oh no, I'm looking for the next Miss, Miss Kings, and all you want to do is hook up, that's the problem, right? So I think if we're more honest with each other as to where we are in our lives and what we are looking for and communicate that out, there'll be less hurt people in the world.
You know what? And I agree with you. I don't think there's anything wrong with like hookup culture, as in the sense of like, if you're good with that and that's where you are and you do just want to do that, by all means do you. But I think the problem is we have, and I see it a lot, is people not being able to just say where they're at, like the truth of where you're at right now, thinking there's something wrong with that. Like even as a man, as a woman, like especially as a woman, it's probably harder to say like, hey, I just want to hook up with somebody, because then it's like we could be viewed different ways. And I feel like that's getting better and better. Like it's like, you can't really slut shame anymore. People do it, but it's like more so I feel like that's getting better. At least I think it is. But people being able to say their truths of like not representing, hi, I want to take you on a date. I'm going to be texting you and calling you and this and that. And like, bam, ghosted. And it's like, wait a minute, you didn't have to do that. You could have just been like, hey, I'm just here to hook up. You know what I mean? But it's so hard for people to say that nowadays, man or woman, right?
Yeah, and it's incredible, right? Because we're talking about a different world today. I think we're all sexually free to a certain extent. I mean, sexuality is everywhere you look, everywhere you flip on YouTube or whatever it is, it's out there. So I still have a hard time just understanding why people can't be honest with each other.
So Jay, I wanted to hear your perspective.
Well, because honesty comes with I was just gonna say honesty comes with consequences, and a lot of people don't like the consequences. A lot of people don't like what they can't get if they're not telling the truth. If someone wants to sleep with you, but they don't want to sleep with all the girls who just want to sleep around, then the consequence is this. If you don't want, like I've heard plenty of gentlemen say this, I don't want to sleep with women who've been around the block.
Okay.
I don't want to sleep with women around the block. I want to sleep with all the women that, are look this way or act this way. I want those women. I want to feel like I did something that someone else couldn't do. I want to conquer something. There's some men who are like that, and they'll go after them. So they'll lie to do such. So, I mean, they don't want that. They don't want to get the girls that have been, I'm not trying to say who've been with 8 different people. They want the ones who've only been with 2 or 3. That's what they want. And they're going to, if they have to say that they were in a relationship to do that, they will do it.
Listen, it's a preference. Right? Everybody has their preferences.
Yeah, no, it's a preference, but I will be honest. Yeah, but why would you want to give away an intimate moment with someone over and over and over and over again, giving part of yourself to someone over and over again for no other reason but just to feel 10, 15 minutes? Why?
Mm-hmm. Actually, there was a study that shows,
and there are a lot of people who, and now it's different. Because listen, I've been around a lot of lifestylers. So don't get me wrong. If that's how you connect with people sexually, don't get me wrong. I don't see anything wrong with sexually connecting with people if that's how you connect to other people. That's how you feel love, is that you want to be physical with someone. But my question was not that. It was, why are girls who haven't had a lot of sexual experience, who are younger, thinking that that's all I have to give?
That's right.
And then expecting a result from that. There's a difference between lifestylers and people who don't understand what they're doing. You are a special person. And if you can just give that away to someone all the time, different people, it's not special anymore.
Now that's a
It's
problem.
not special to you.
It's not special. I can pick that up at Walmart. There's no value in that.
Special to you, but it might be special to someone else's. Somebody's trash is somebody else's treasure.
Exactly.
It's just a preference, right?
But
So
you
it's
gave
not-
it away thousands of times. I can come get that tomorrow. So then that person's not going to stay around because it's not even about just the sex. Because you're not just giving sex when you're having sex.
Well,
some people are very
you have
cuddly
to
and stuff
be
like that when
careful.
they're sexual.
Okay, I hear your.
But if that's what you're giving them that moment with you, that time with you.
I hear what you're saying.
Say again, I'm so sorry, V.
I worked building websites for girls that are escorts, and one of the things that I thought was, how can you do that and be okay with it?
Yes.
How can you build an actual connection with this person? How can you do all these how can yous, right? When you look at most of the women going through what you're talking about, there's a lot of physical, emotional, and sexual trauma there, whether they were raped by a family relative or all sorts of different things that have happened, right? And sorry, I got to find my charger for my computer. One of the things that I realized was that they were able to transmute what had happened to them into something different. So what may seem easy for you is a source of empowerment for them. What may
So that's a
seem
transfer of dysfunction from one trauma to another.
Right, but to a certain degree, because at the same time, I've witnessed a lot of these women get exactly what the heck they wanted, and they're happy. So, and much, mind you, I have a background in psychology. This goes against everything that I've been taught, everything that I've learned, everything that I've witnessed, and I'm watching these girls literally being able to provide for themselves, their families, their loved ones, having a happy, healthy family, being loyal to one man. So all I'm saying is, like, what right do you have to say anything about what someone else is doing in their sexual conduct, just as much as I have zero right to say that your flower is a prized possession? I have an issue when it comes to that's wrong.
Yeah, no, Mika.
But
I
that's
have an issue with everything goes. I have an issue with no boundaries. Like the world now, there's the way the world, we all know that change is inevitable. You know, you go from one stage to the next.
Yeah.
We know that already. However, just because they were able to get better than where they were before does not mean that they are in a healthy space. Everybody's healthy space is subjective. So we know that. So I understand what you're saying about right and wrong, but in some instances, I think saying something right or wrong could be the right thing to do. Like, we know it's wrong to go out there and kill someone. Absolutely. We don't want to hear any excuses, you know, unless this, that, and the third happens. I think that's the same thing in relationships and everything else.
Right. But
So,
the derivative from this point that we're talking about is the ideology that these high value men have been stating. We don't want a
what is
used
high
up
value?
love.
So we don't have to go back to that because I don't
Yeah,
know. I don't know. what that
Let me
is.
just, I
don't.
understand.
Yeah.
Just let me finish my statement first. These
go ahead.
high value, we're using quotation marks.
Yeah, no, and I didn't say that.
I understand. Let
go
me
ahead.
Who's talking?
That's where the narrative sort of came from. And so what's happened is they're not actually high value, because if you look at any, and I say this all the time, an actual, like, what people believe a high value man is like more than 6 figures a month, whatever. They don't care about those things. They care about, like what one of the other ladies talked about earlier. What's the loyalty look like? Are you going to be here when I'm sick? Are you going to be here when things are not so great? That's what they're caring about. Once they reach that level of success, the only thing they care about is having a family to provide for. And so this narrative of like what a woman does with her body, I understand to a certain degree. We do need to educate younger women that are just mindlessly using it. I understand that aspect. But when we start talking in definitives and stating items like you're using it and you're giving it away, that's what I have a problem with.
Well, you are. That is giving it away.
So are men, and women and men are not held.
So one thing about that too is you have to take accountability for you. So we're not talking about men. We're talking about the women, right? Is that what we're talking about? Are we talking about both?
I don't know about both. Why would we only talk about one?
I thought we were talking about women.
What are you good with? Like, and what are you looking for?
Yeah, we gotta talk about both.
because like what are you good with and what are you looking for? Because if it's really getting to know somebody on a deeper level, I'm not saying you can't do that if you like have sex on the first date. You can. I've ended up in relationships with sleeping, and I've talked about this before on another podcast. I've slept with somebody, and this has happened twice. First date, and I've ended up in a long-term relationship with them. So it's not that it can't happen, but it's like more so it kind of gets a little skewed when you're trying to get to know somebody if you've given that away. For me, anyways, this is where I'm at now. I read a comment and this person's like, I met Robin, and I wish somebody like Robin, I wish I never met them 6 months ago. And that's cool because that's your preference, right? And maybe that's a part of where somebody's at right now. But I think when it comes back to like, who are you? What are you looking for? Are you looking to get to know somebody on a deeper level? Can you communicate that? Is sex going to skew that for you? Like being able to, get to know a person, or are you able to do that sexually? Are you able to have sex and still get to know somebody? Are you able to communicate like, hey, I'm just here for a hookup? Like, I think maybe what it all goes back to for me, even bringing it back to it, is clear communication and knowing where you're at, what you want, what you value within yourself, and what you're going to be good with at the end of the day.
Yeah, I understand that culturally, right? We're talking about sex and listen, culturally, we had this discussion on another podcast as well. I think it's Finland where the women have sex with the men before even thinking about getting into a relationship because they want to know what the product is like before they buy it. So it's honestly, it's a cultural understanding. And there are cultures that think about sex differently. So what I hear a lot is, this is right, this is wrong. Listen, everyone has their preferences. Everyone has their opinion, and you can respect that. You don't have to like it, but respect the fact that people feel differently about what you feel. Mm-hmm. And that's okay, right? Because listen, Miss Polly, she has her way of thinking, and everyone on this panel is of value. Everyone on this panel brings something to the table, right? So we all have our pluses and our minuses, but just understanding and respecting that just because you feel like everybody that's having sex, whenever they feel like it is a certain kind of person, or that's not right and this is wrong, that's your norm.
Oh.
So there are different norms.
No, and I have to go to work. So if you guys, I don't understand. I'm actually not like that. I don't care what your body count is. My question was the people who are learning from new people. So if you have people who are in their 20s learning from what they see around them, and they don't understand themselves what maybe a relationship is. A lot of them are just kind of following along and seeing that. What is the point? And I wouldn't be against that. Me, myself, I have 2 male partners. I am the pariah of you a whole slut all day. And I have long-term partners. So I understand where that comes from. When I want to talk to a new partner, I get it. But it's part of it. Everyone has their own idea of what it is. It could not, the whole thing where you've slept with 70 people. Most, times that is where people just freak out. I understand. Teach their own. My question was mentally, because I thought we were talking about mental. My thing is, it's not about if you're high value or anything. It's just how are you putting value on what you can give to others if everyone has access to you. And that's just in general. And just everyone has access to you all the time. You can get it anytime. Then people won't, it is true, they won't value as much. Because if it's easy to get, then it's not something they'll be like, oh, I can get tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. But if it's something that is special and you prioritize it and you make sure it's valued a little bit different. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm saying it probably makes you think a little different about yourself if you're not in a good space. Especially if you're not in a good place. If you don't think highly of yourself, you think that only men want you for respect, then why are you out here giving it up? Does that make sense?
It makes sense a little bit. It's kind of hard to draw the conclusion. Okay, so you said you're in a relationship with two men. So why can't that narrative or that description you just gave fit yours? Because some could say you're doing the same thing. You're just doing it with 2 versus 70.
Right, and that I'm saying that because I am exclusively dating these 2. I mean, not exclusively. I date these ones right now. I've had 3. I've had 3 partners before. It's changed, but these 2 have been with me the longest. Within a certain amount of time. So that's why I say I still get the looks. I still get the questions of, okay, so when you go on a regular date, are you having sex with several people? I've had my own partners ask me, hey, when I first met them, like, so, like, does everyone who talks to you get to have sex with you or have those intimate moments with you? Then what makes it special for me? What makes me different between us being with you and committed to you than someone who's not? And I had to make that distinction. And I know that's me private, but I made that distinction that, hey, you know what? It not just sexually, because I wasn't doing that, but in my head, I said, well, yeah, you're right. No, I don't do that. I don't give everyone a certain thing, because when you're with me, you're committed to me, you get particular, time with me, access to me. Not everyone should have that access to me. And that's what makes it different. Because if you come to me and you're just trying to talk to me, trying to feel me out, yeah, you're going to get some of my time and all that great stuff. But the full access is when you're committed to me and we're spending time, and it's different. I made a distinction, and I'm saying for young women who are out here and you're out here dating, I've heard stories. I hear them say it all the time. Say, oh, I went out, I slept with 5 guys in 1 week. And then next week it's 5 new guys. And you're like, what are you doing? What's the purpose? And then they'll say, I can't find a man.
But we're saying that's okay though,
Are
right?
you looking for a man? You look for second partners. I'm confused. I'm saying if you know what you're doing, but they're not saying what they're doing. They're saying, I want a man, but then sleep with 5 people in a week. And then switch it over. So my question is, for the younger generation, who is telling them or trying to guide them into a place where, okay, well, what are you looking for? You can't say I want a man, but you can't stay with one person talking to him. You're messing around everywhere. And then when a man sees you, he sees you with 7 to 8 people and he's confused of what you want. So then he's not gonna know. Be clear about what you want and talk about it. Like you said, communication of what you want. They're not doing that. They're just, looking like they're contradicting themselves, basically.
But that's what they want. We said
So
earlier, that's what they
who's going
want.
to show
That's
them
what
that?
fulfills them. And we're saying that there is no such thing as right or wrong.
But they're not saying that, though.
Preference
No,
is,
Yeah,
but that's okay.
they're not saying that.
It's not
No,
that it's
that's what some of the panel people were
Yeah,
saying.
that is. If your preference is lifestyles, because I'm down with that.
right. But even
Yeah,
with
if it's
specifically
preference.
with
If
what
you're okay with that, that's fine.
specifically with what you're talking about, eventually it's like anything else. It's a lesson. So eventually that girl is gonna meet someone she really wants to be with, and because of her previous actions, it's gonna be a consequence. So she's gonna learn how to appropriately, hopefully, change her actions, and then continue dating until she finds someone that's A, okay with her past or doesn't ask, or B, that she is also going to change her own behaviors.
And that's my point. Teaching the young ones before they get to that point where they're doing
That's what she. Yes.
people, and then
Yes, she's saying why.
there's no
Let
right or
them get
wrong.
that
You have to
far.
start thinking about teaching and raising these young girls, because that's the problem now. Everybody's doing whatever they want to do, and then when they're ready to settle down, there's no value there,
Right.
because they burnt all their value. So you can't
Right.
just say that's
Okay.
preference. Let them learn. No. So at some point, you have to teach what's probably right and what's probably wrong. So you don't end up having 5 different baby daddies. So you don't end up having a long list of men, and then the man you finally do want doesn't appreciate you. It works for some people, and it doesn't work for others.
But do we really actually get questioned? Like, what's your number?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
Really?
I'm
Yes.
46 years old.
Wait, they asked that?
They will ask.
Men actually do ask women now. Yeah,
It might
they do.
sound
I have
crazy.
not been asked that in
I-
years.
I haven't
I
been
don't-
asked.
I don't
They
ask-
do ask that though.
I don't ask, and the men I associate with don't ask, but you can tell if a woman is acting very promiscuous. If she's acting very promiscuous, then you know.
Yes.
So what's
but
what's
I
acting
wanna-
promiscuous?
So, well, okay, like
Lady T, girl.
like for an example, right? So for an example, if she's on social media and she's taking racy pictures. A lot of guys are commenting things like that. Like that's a lot of attention. And men that want a quality woman, not to say that woman isn't a quality woman, but what I'm saying is that the portrayal does not show a quality.
That part.
There you
That's what I
go.
was trying to get out. That's what I was
That's
trying to
right.
get out.
So for the sake of so for the sake of for the sake of conversation, I did want to move on, and also I wanted to introduce Yoso and Kyla. How's it going? How you doing?
Hi.
Hello, King of Dreams, and hello, all you beautiful women here on the panel. Sorry I'm late. DR's power outages and electricity have just been today. It's been hectic, but hello everyone. Nice to meet all of you, and I'm happy to be here again. Sorry I'm late.
No worries, no worries. So, I, Robin had a question. What was it, like a half an hour, 45 minutes ago? But Robin had a question. Robin had a question, and I think it's a great question. Not now that we have everybody here. I think Miss Polly had to drop because she had to go to work, which is fine. But so I'll actually start with you. So the Robin's question was, what do you consider a high value man? And I'll start with you, Jay.
Okay, so so that term I've just kind of like recently, maybe like this year, realized what the actual term is, and like it's like a buzzword. But what I would consider a high value man is someone who is grounded in God, for one. Someone who knows his role, and that knows that his ordained role is to protect and provide. I don't necessarily consider a high value man to have like all this abundance of money, because as you can see, we have rappers and stuff with big money, but they're not high value per se. So someone who has morals and values, and knows the 4 P's, and knows how to protect and provide, and provision, things of that nature.
All right, perfect. Thank you. I appreciate that. Kyla, let's get you in there. What do you consider a high value man?
Whoa, okay. So a high value man, what I consider a high value man, like just a man that was I don't want to say a man that was raised right, but raised to treat a woman right. Definitely the number one thing is just respectful. A man who's respectful, knows how to treat a woman right, is just honest 100% with a female that he claims that he cares about and wants to be with. Just someone who and just values the female that he's with, like respect, love, to sit there and take care of things at home, just basically puts her first always. Yeah, I could say a lot more, but I would say like those are the most important, I think, qualities of a high value man that I could think of right now.
Thank you. All right, V.
I'm looking at the textbook definition of what a high value man is, but I think again, it's a preference, because what's high value to you might not be high value to me. But all of the intangibles, right? Because I'm a woman of a certain age and I come with certain benefits, right? So I expect a high value man to give me the intangible, to have respect for me, make me feel like I'm the only woman in the world, to have, the sophistication and charm to look good on my shoulders and make me look good. That's what I see as a high value man, someone that can upgrade me, and also be open to being upgraded himself and going on a certain path together. So I think a high value man for me is about the intangibles, what money can definitely not buy.
All right. Thank you, V. Miss Robin, you are up. This is your question, but you're up.
No, and the reason I just want to say the reason I asked this question is because it is a buzzword. It's going across different podcasts, we hear it. And since I've heard this word, I mean, probably over a couple, maybe 2 years ago, for me, the definition has changed. And I think today what I would say is a man who has integrity and honesty within himself, a man who has value within himself, who knows himself, who can be honest, who loves himself and wants to treat others well, with the way he interacts with the waitress, with the way he interacts with the person washing his car. Like, is he consistent in how he treats people? And that shows, how is he going to value me? Can he say that? And I like what V said too. I didn't think of this. These are not my words, but again, it's kind of that concept of, are you in a position where I can trust you to lead me, and you can also trust me to bring to the table certain things, qualities that you might not have, and lead you in that aspect, whether it be feminine, nurturing, stuff like that. I think high value is somebody who's just good within themselves, who's taken the time to get to know themselves. And I don't think it's intangible. If you would ask me a couple maybe a year ago, 2 years ago, I would have been like, oh yeah, it is the tangibles. It's like they've achieved blah blah. And just over time and getting to know different people, like someone else said, it's like you can have a rapper who has all this stuff, but does he have the respect within himself and towards others? So that term has changed for me, and I just wondered what it meant to different people. So I think it has a lot to do with respect within themselves, and how does that outwardly show towards others.
All right, thank you, Robin. Let's go with Red Lipstick Vibes.
Okay, so the money does matter. If you want someone to protect and provide you, he has to make the money to do that. So that does have a place in it. So, and that is one of the definitions of being a high value man. Another one is a man of leadership. A man that is respected in his community, respected by other men. A man of means, a man of sophistication, a man of integrity, a man with compassion and patience. That's my definition.
Short and sweet to the point. I love it. All right. Minka, what do we got?
Sorry, I was reading the comments. For me, a high value man is someone that can deal with me and still love me. And I realize that I'm a dumb broad thinking of it non-transactional anymore. One of the few. Not one of the few, not insinuating on this panel. I'm just saying in general, like, I live in LA. A lot of them are like, must make 6 figures, must have big dick, must do this. And it's like, it just depends on like what they bring to the table. I'll say this. I know that for me, it's a provider and not just a financial provider. It's like, if you can, I'm a fixer upper in my household. So like, if you look at my door, it's like messed up for my dog. So someone that's like, just fixes things, that's really attractive to me. Or financially stable. It doesn't mean that he's earning 6 figures, but at least financially stable. So if we combine our finances, we're making well over 6 figures, you know? I think a high value man to me is someone that's looking for a partnership the way that I'm looking for a partnership. Someone that wants loyalty, someone that wants to help each other, protect each other. Protection is like probably the number one for me. Whether it's like physically or emotionally, that we protect each other. What else? Must have a sexual appetite, because just has to. I think that's it.
All right. Perfect. Thank you. Let's go with Taquana.
I'm gonna read the textbook definition, or what it says, because I don't like the term. To me, yeah. So it says a high value man is the epitome of masculinity, leadership, charm, and sophistication. He is a man of means. I'm assuming that's money, and influence. So because someone asked in the chat, why money? A man of means and influence, loved by women, revered by men, and moves gallantly through the challenges of life with courage and pride. So I guess that's what it is.
Right. All right.
Yeah.
And then we got Jane. You're on mute.
Sorry. For me, first and foremost, he has to be a man of principle. Because what I've learned is if a man doesn't operate off of something bigger than himself, he is not a strong man, and he can't be a strong man for you. I think a man who also knows the value of women and what they are, like the power and just the beauty we hold as women and what we're able to do and how we're able to further the next generation and love for it and care for it. I think when a man can see that and value a woman in that, even if she can't see that in herself, that makes a high value man, because he will never hurt her or like take advantage of her because of those principles of seeing her to be so much more than what she can even see in herself.
All right. Perfect. So for me, red lipstick, you hit the nail on the head. Men do determine who are the high value men, right? So a high value man is a man of means, also being able to communicate. He walks into a room, he looks confident. He is confident. He's able to be charming. He has a network. One of the brothers on Richie Mack's panel, he said this so eloquently. He said, "Your net worth is your network," and I do believe that, because high value men communicate with other high value men, being able to protect, provide, provision, and be that strong, confident leader, and also having respect for his woman, understanding that woman should be protected, but his woman should be protected.
Correct.
All right. So I'm gonna go through some of the comments here because I missed a lot.
Can we please?
And then I'm gonna go to some more of my questions. Actually, you know what? Let me go to my next question, and then I will go to the comments. So I will start with you, Jane, this time. What do you think? Hold on, I forgot my own question. I'm sorry. All right, I got it now. My question is, bear with me. What do you want your man to bring to the table?
I think the question we just answered before that was similar.
Yep.
I'm not gonna lie.
Nope, it's okay.
I think a lot of what people said, because it was subjective to what they believed is a how you value man, is probably very similar to what they believe a man should bring to the table. So I actually wrote some things down when I read the question, so I'm just gonna read the list.
Okay.
So, I believe a man should bring leadership and wisdom and faith and just patience and confidence, and make sure they're like responsible and knowledgeable and always willing to grow and be better and to spread that knowledge and to try to pull the best out of other people. And for his woman, pull the best out of her. So
all right. Thank you. And then Taquana.
Stability, emotionally, spiritually, and financially.
There it is. Minka.
I think I agree. I already said it. Just I would just say just trying to work at the relationship. That's if he can bring that, that's a huge thing that not a lot of people can bring.
Gotcha. Okay. Red lipstick vibes.
I was on mute. He provides leadership. He has patience. He protects, he provides. He's my priest, meaning that he protects me emotionally and spiritually. He leads me emotionally and spiritually. Provides all my needs emotionally and spiritually and physically. Also is a how can I say it? A word. I'm trying to find a word. I'm trying to find the right word. Because we have children that are under the autism spectrum, patience and compassion is a must.
All right. Miss Robin.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
Oh, so the question is that what do what do you want your man to bring to the table?
What do I want somebody to bring to the table? I want them to bring, I want them to bring themselves stable to the relationship, having done the work within themselves, or at least starting that inner journey of who do I want to be? Like, I want to be a provider. I want to be honest. I want to operate with integrity. I want to be a man of, kind of like what Jane said, when it's holding himself to something greater than himself. Because if it's just yourself, I think that can tend to get very selfish, right? So whether it's God, I would say for me it's God, but coming to the table with respect and knowing what he wants, and compassion, love, kindness, and again, I think knowing what he wants his role to be. And for me, I like when a man is a provider. Does he have to provide everything? That, I mean, not necessarily, but having an idea within himself that he's working towards achieving the goals that mean something to him. And financially, that if that happens, that's great, you know? So I think that's my answer.
Okay, perfect. All right, V.
I get in trouble for this question. I don't like it. Okay, so we all spoke about what we think is a high valued man.
Right.
So those are my expectations, right? These are things that are hard to measure. So it takes time for you to understand if somebody's genuinely bringing those aspects to the table. But one thing that's important for me is that they need to be able to bring to the table just as much as I do financially.
Okay.
They need to make just as much as I make or more. So that is definitely a requirement, along with bringing all the intangibles to the table, making me feel like I'm the most special person in the world or the only girl in the world or whatever makes you happy. That loyalty, respect. I mean, I truly am ride or die, so I expect the person that's with me to be ride or die. No questions asked. If I tell you jump, you need to jump and ask me later why. If we into a relationship that deep and that situation comes up, then you definitely need to be able to go with the flow with me. So those are the things that I expect.
Okay. All right. Kyla, what do we got?
Let's see. Let's see. I would have to say lots of love, abundant love, care, comfort, for the man to be a very good listener. Communication is key. Teamwork between both me and him. Of course, there's financial and emotional security, um, physical pleasure, obviously great sex, and more comes with that. But yeah, and not just the man. I think it always goes both ways. It always goes both ways. But yeah, for me, those are the
right.
qualities and the things. Mhm.
Perfect. Thank you. And then we got Jay.
Okay, so you're asking what I want in a man, or like what? Can you ask the
Correct.
question again? I'm sorry.
Oh, no worries, no worries. The question is, what do you want your man to bring to the table?
Oh, okay. So integrity, adoration, financial stability, and have faith in God. That's pretty much it.
Absolutely. All right, perfect. So I'm gonna keep you on it, and I'm gonna ask. Now, what do you think men want women to bring to the table?
What do I think? You're asking me because I'm still on the screen.
Well, yes, because
Okay. No,
I'm gonna go back the other way around. So I just kept
no, I'm
going.
like, oh, I'm still here. Okay, so yeah, men. I believe men want women who bring let's see, a nurturing spirit that is feminine, that is in shape, that looks good, that is smart. That's pretty much it. Someone who is smart, someone who is, in shape, that looks good physically, and that is nurturing. I think that's pretty much everything else can be worked out. But yeah, I believe that's the main things. And someone who isn't like combative, someone who is like agreeable, like feminine, or has that nurturing spirit or that agreeable spirit. That's pretty much it.
All right, perfect. Kyla.
Huh?
What do you? Oh, so you didn't hear the question, did you?
Is this a different question?
Yes, it is. So so my question is, what do you think men want women to bring to the table?
Ooh. Come back to me. Por favor. Come back to me if you can.
Oh, come on. All right.
I love it.
All right, B, what do you?
Look, she's honest, so hey.
Okay, the question is, what do I think men want us to bring to the table? So I'm going to give you my honest answer to that. Number one, they want Cardi B in the bedroom. Number two, they want Mimi from Living Hip Hop as the maid. Number three, they want him to just shut the fuck up. That's what men want.
Oh my god!
What? That's an honest answer. If you want to know what men want, they don't want you to talk. They want you to bend over whenever they want you to bend over, and they want you to cook and clean. That's what men want.
All right.
That's what boys want.
Yeah.
Now, listen. Kings and I had a whole conversation on a different podcast, and I heard Minka's podcast last night. And if you would have heard what he said about women over 30, you would not be his friend right now. So it's not just...
I probably would agree with him.
No, but see, wait a minute. But see, the thing is,
I'm 30 and unmarried. Oh
no! Wait a minute. No.
He said, "Don't give up hope."
No,
that's what he said. He said, "Don't give up hope. You still got a shot."
Wait, listen. Yeah. Listen. So, anybody who watches my content knows that I speak with tact. So it wasn't just like, oh, like you're 30, jump ship, it's over. That's not what I said. That's not what I said. But what I did say is that once you are of a certain age, the dating pool gets smaller.
It does.
And that's just full transparency.
Yeah.
It is, and you're
I
correct.
didn't. Yeah, I didn't say abandon ship. I didn't say that. But
Okay. What you said was keep hope alive. I can play the video.
It was the way you said it.
Yeah, we all know.
The way you said it.
We still love you regardless of how you're talking. We don't take it personal. Everybody says it all the time. My number one thing that people love to say to me is she's 30 and unmarried. So, you know, it's whatever.
I would love to be 30 and unmarried. I'm sorry, but if I would do it all over again, I wouldn't get married until I'm about 33. I would have my kid at about 34 and keep it moving from there. So there's nothing wrong with the path you have chosen. I wish I could go back and do it again. And I would definitely be married at 30.
And that's usually my answer, because that people don't understand. I haven't just learned this stuff like in the last couple of years. I've been on a mental health journey since I could possibly remember. I have always been self-aware as much as possible to understand, why am I this way? Why am I choosing this? Why didn't that work out? What was my part in this? What was my responsibility? What could I have done differently? And so who I was when I was 25, 26, even 27 is significantly different to who I am now. Now I can read between the lines when you're trying to manipulate me. I see when you're not responding, what that means and what you're trying to do. I'm not looking for someone that's going to play games. I want someone that's truthful, someone that's real. That's like I'm at the bare minimum. That's what I'm looking for. So but had I not gone through all of those experiences, I myself would not have been able to heal to understand what I bring to the table. So based on what I can bring to the table is where I value what I can ask for.
okay, so let me kind of pivot here, and I'll ask you ladies all a question. So do you all understand?
The first question.
No, we didn't answer the question either.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Whoops. I'm sorry about that.
Write down your question.
No, I remember.
Write it down so you won't forget.
Yeah. We're helpful.
I remember. Okay, so red lipstick. Question was, what do you think men want women to bring to the table?
Okay, coming from my dad and my man, my hubby, they want cooperation. Peace is number one. Leave out the cantankerous attitude, snapping your heads, finger, arguing, nagging, all that kind of stuff. Leave that out the door. They do not like that. They don't want that, and they're tired of that. And as soon as you do that, then they're gonna find somebody else. Okay, not giving that to them. They don't want that.
Yep.
Now, when it comes to the whole sex thing, that should come before you even get married. You should know who is, you have that chemistry. If you have that chemistry, have that sexual bond, then okay, anytime my baby come and say, I'm ready, okay, because we have that chemistry. So that should be taken care of before you even get married. But when you're married, this is what they want: cooperation, peace, and please do not come with the nagging and all the yeah. They don't want to do a whole lot of talking a lot. Ladies, they are not men. We can talk on the phone all day long and chit chat, and let me tell you what happened on the job and all that. They don't want to hear all that. They want food, sex, and a little bit of the other stuff. But anyway, that's what they want.
The three S's. The three S's. Y'all know what the three S's are, right? Okay. I'm sorry?
What are they?
Oh, sex, sandwich, silence.
Exactly. That's what they want. They don't want to hear all that, y'all. For real, they don't. They don't want to hear that.
AKA shut the hell up.
Basically.
I didn't say it. All right. Who didn't? I'm sorry. I don't think Taquana, I don't think you answered the question. What?
And then I think we should always, there's a minority and majority in everything, but I think for the most part, they want a supportive nature, support from there. And I'm not talking about financially. I'm talking about just support physically, emotionally, especially emotionally. People think that men don't be needing the support and the encouragement from their woman. They do. And I think femininity as well. I want to piggyback on lipstick vibes, the roaring, the arguing, the nagging, all that stuff. You're gonna have issues in relationships. I don't personally believe that you cannot communicate effectively. You can communicate effectively with your mate without nagging and arguing and being that person. Peace is extremely important for men. So support, femininity, and peace are the main points I think that they want. But I'm not a man.
Can I say something,
Matthew? That's just what I think they want.
Can I say something to that? Okay, so like my parents were married for like 54 years. And I learned a lot about being a wife from my mom. And my mom always told me that being a wife or being in a relationship with a man is a job. It's a ministry. You have duties. And going back on what Flora T just said, they protect us physically, in the house and, and somewhat mentally, but we also protect them as well.
Yeah.
And you can't protect your man if you a hellraiser. Because when he's coming home for some peace and you just bringing him more turmoil, how can you cultivate and be a help to him, his helpmeet mentally and emotionally, when you're the main cause of his frustration? So I just want to point that out. Flossie's absolutely right. That's one of the main things that men want. And they need that because they do have emotions. They do go through things mentally. They may not tell you. And see, that's a whole nother podcast where you are supposed to be in tune with your man. Let me tell you something. When the lieutenant walks through the door, I can tell what kind of day he had because I can sense it and I can see it on his face. He doesn't have to tell me anything because we're that in tune with each other. And see, that's some of the things that the ladies don't. A lot of the women don't possess that ability. Because going back to the first question that we asked, they're still in singleness and not togetherness. It's a difference. Now take me off this stream.
I got you. All right. Jane, what do you got? What are your thoughts? Well, what do you think men want women to bring to the table?
Oh, she's muted.
Sorry.
Oh.
I think everything you guys said was pretty spot on. One of the main things that stuck out to me was a man wants a woman who's going to listen, especially if she tells him, like, I want you to lead me, I want you to teach me. Like, you have to listen. That's the biggest lesson I've learned.
I like this.
You can't listen, or if you don't listen, you're gonna miss out on some really good things.
Exactly. Have to be.
How old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh
23?
my goodness, baby.
You're my daughter's age.
Technically, I'll be 23 next week, but I am 22 right now.
All right.
Stay on that course, sweetheart.
Yes. And don't let nobody take you off no matter what you hear on podcasts.
Exactly.
You continue to do it.
Right. You're going in the right direction.
All right. Kylie, you ready now or?
Come on, Kylie.
All right. No, I was gonna say too, everybody really said a lot of good points here on the panel. And just like Red Lipstick Vibes was saying, my parents have been married for 46 years. And I definitely learned a lot from their marriage, just because my mother was one of those women who were always da, 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 da. I mean, she had her reasons. She did have her reasons, but like just seeing the frustration on my poppy's face when he would come home and the first thing she would be on the phone already nagging at him before he even walked in the door from work. So I could just like Red Lipstick Vibes doing that. It's like a man don't even want to come home to that when he's had a stressful day at work and then coming home and then thinking, damn, I have to come home and I'm gonna have to hear her mouth. I'm gonna be able to rest, just have to hear it until the next day. Like nobody doesn't want to hear that. I feel like if there's peace in the home, and again, there's good communication between you and your man, and you are a good listener, just like how us females want the man to be a good listener. If we're a good listener and we listen to what he wants, are we asking him, hey, you know, like, what do you want to do? Or how do you want this? How do you want this? Or how do you want that? I feel like it makes the relationship even better. It makes the man want to come to you more instead of going out somewhere else, discussing whatever with anybody else, another female or friends. Like, he'll come to you first because he knows, hey, my woman's a good listener. Maybe there's things that you may not agree with what your man says, but that's okay. You know, you don't have to agree with everything. You just work through it and try to be the best woman for him. Yeah.
Right. Perfect.
That was a good.
Nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect. But you just work through it.
Work. That's the key word.
It's a lot of work.
My parents have been married for the same years your parents has been married. So it's when you see things, it's like you learn and you probably pick up some of the bad stuff, because I picked up some of the bad stuff from my mom.
Yeah.
And I picked up, you know, some of the good stuff, and I saw the struggles with my dad and his frustrations. And I appreciate it. Because I picked up a lot of the bad from my mom. So that's why I'm working on it. And I've gotten a whole lot better. But yeah, like you said, things happen. People have reasons, but it's not an excuse. And I always say that because I don't like for people, because of what they've been through, to use it to continue to excuse their behavior. So you're going to hear me say that a lot. Yes, there's reasons, but that's not an excuse. So yeah. We got to be peace to these men.
I like how you said that people do try and use things that's happened in their past as an excuse to continue doing what they're doing today.
Yeah.
And you can't use that. You can't do that, because that's not going to work. It's not going to work. Yeah.
Absolutely. So Minka, I did see your message. So I'm gonna jump ahead a little bit here. So what you know, I'll start with you, Minka. So
I didn't answer the last question.
You didn't?
No.
Okay, well, answer the last question, and then I'm gonna ask you a new one.
I think what men want women to bring to the table is respect and love and nurturing. I think that respect can be the root issue of a lot of things that we bring unbeknownst to us, that like how we communicate with them, what we say, when we say it. Just, I think respect is the number one, though.
Indeed.
Absolutely. And then and so do you think that taking care of mental health is important?
I don't know if I know of anyone that would say it's not important.
Well, okay. So let me say this. So do you think that it needs to be more of an area of focus?
It's a little vague. Again, it's just
really.
Yeah, because it's kind of like a duh question. No, like I feel like where we are now is completely different.
I would say so. You know, and you would think that it would be like one of those. Yes, that it's a simple question, but there's so many people who don't take care of their mental health.
But that's again unknown. So like, there's a huge thing. I saw a TikTok the other day that was perfect, and this guy was saying like only men will understand this when he's just staring off into space, and then at the very last minute he snaps out of it and he's like, I'm good. And it's very much like this idea that men need to be strong and not have emotions that we've been accustomed to for a very long time. But there's an entire movement for men having their own space. I mean, the manosphere itself was created so that men could have their own space, and then women came into it and tried to make it their own and try to change the way that they were thinking. And then they have the red pill, which was again like, oh, we're going to have the truth of like, this was men's truths, which no one should have been able to take it away. And then it got dampened with again. And then you had now the black pill community who's doing the same thing. So I don't think that we're necessarily in a state where it's completely ignored like it used to be. I think that we're in a stage where a lot more people are talking about it, and men are also having a lot more women supporting the fact that men need more focus on mental health, especially with as many men that have a higher suicide rate than women.
I agree. I agree with that. Thank you. You know what? Let me bounce around here. Taquan, I saw your message. So what are your thoughts? Do you believe that taking care of mental health is important? And kind of to add to that, do you think that it needs to be more of a point of emphasis?
I think it needs to be more of a point of emphasis, especially in the Black community. So I'm going to make this cultural because I know for the Black community, it's like a taboo subject. Like we're so used to having to do what we have to do. And this might be true for other cultures, but I'm Black. So I'm going to speak for mine. I know that mental health is not, I don't even think a lot of us know what taking care of our mental health means because we're so robotic in doing the day-to-day and doing what we know we have to do that we get lost. And I think it needs to be more of a focus because like, I forgot, is it Minka? The last young lady said about the suicides. I mean, it's especially in children during COVID, how it rose. So I do think we're making strides to get better with it, but I think it's a long road. I think we have a long way to go because I don't even think we're halfway there. Right. That's just my personal opinion.
I do have to say I agree with her. In ethnic cultures, it's still taboo. It's still like because I'm Hispanic, so it's very much like, what emotions? Get over it.
That part.
Yeah.
And so that's what causes that staring into space and popping out and telling me I'm okay. No, you're not.
You're right. And
you're not. So
yeah, I think when it comes to different cultures, I think that's something that we still need to make movement on.
I have an interesting perspective. From the white evangelical perspective, because that's what I grew up in. Mm-hmm. A lot of people shy away from therapy and mental health and say that they basically just pray it away. They're like, oh, yes, Jesus will take care of me. If I just don't think about it hard enough and let God deal with it. Like, that's not how that works. Mm-hmm. And you're not even, no. Like, God gave us
common sense.
People, exactly, so that we could have people on our journey to help us who are actually experts in taking care of yourself. That is one thing that I will never believe. I'm not even a Christian, to be honest. So just growing up in the evangelical side of things, that's literally how a lot of my family members are. Like, I'm fine. I got God. I prayed about it. Really? Because it's been like 20 years and you still have the same issues. And you're your grandkids while you're at it.
Oh, and look, I totally agree with her because I myself a preacher's kid and military kid. So I totally know what she's talking about. Growing up in the church, it was like you pray about everything. No matter what's going on with you, you can be traumatized. You could have gone through any type of abuse. You are supposed to pray it away.
Well, still do that, but go
right. I mean, you pray, but that was the sole thing you're supposed to do.
They forgot about work.
And then you forget about growing up. Then I realized when I got older that no, just praying about it and fasting and praying about it is not going to do it. I need to actually go and get some professional help. But it was a taboo thing, not just in the church, but in the Black community altogether. You don't even have to be in the church. It's still such a thing of like, you don't need to go talk to no head shrink, no head doctor. That's what they say back in the South. Yeah. I'm from New Orleans, so that's what it is. Head doctor, so that's what they would say. And then not understanding that you can't pour anything out of an empty cup. Yeah. So bringing it back to us being ladies that are looking for husbands and those of us that are already married, you can't pour into your husband and your family from an empty cup. So it's very, very important that you take care of yourself mentally and emotionally outside of the marriage or household. It's very important. And you can't just pray it away, guys. Just pray and also seek, professional help.
Right.
Absolutely. Jay, jump in here.
Yeah, just to piggyback off, yes, I agree that one should take care of their mental health, of course. And of course, God gave us doctors, therapists, and all that for people who are professionals so that they can be able to help us with that. So, of course, yes, pray, but faith without works is dead. So you need to do the groundwork and God will guide your steps. So yes, I do believe that I do believe that mental health is important. Like here I am referring from just my experience, just like right now. Today isn't my best, but I did agree that I was going to come on this podcast. I know you've been trying to get us all together, and when I say I'm going to do something, I do it. But here I am. My husband hasn't came home yet. He's still doing overtime, sadly, and not sadly, but unfortunately, I'm here with 2 babies and I'm all over the place while my camera keeps going off and I am so overwhelmed. So when my husband comes home, he understands that I need to give my wife some time to herself. Otherwise, I'm going to lash out. I'm just going to be like, I'm not going to give my best to my husband or my children because I'm so overwhelmed right now. So if I don't take care of myself, I won't be able to be the best to my husband and be the best to my children because I'm just so overwhelmed. So just a little bit of an example.
Jay, you're doing a great job.
Yeah,
You're doing a great job.
Thank you. I'm trying to do everything. That's why you guys see me here. I'm petting the baby. And my 2-year-old, he's crying. This is like literally when I'm doing something, that's when they do this. I'm just
of course, I never do.
I'm sitting here thinking you're a freaking godly and like a beautiful example. Like, no,
you doing your thing, Jay. You doing your thing. You got the smile on the face. I see you holding the baby. It's all good.
I know you brought him up. I was like, oh.
I'm holding the baby. I'm nursing, putting the camera up, turning it off, trying to take it's a lot, but I'm still here. I still have my sanity. Thank to God. I still have my sanity. I'm still here, and I'm glad to be here.
It is all good. All right. So to Taquana, I know you have to jump off, and Minka, you have to jump off. Taquana, you just want to give your final thoughts and let people know where they can find you.
I just want to say I enjoyed everyone's perspectives. This was really good. I always love talking to women, getting the different perspectives. So I had a really good time. Thank you for inviting me. I can be found on Instagram at I have a Flawed Tea and Talk page, but I'm doing away with that. I'm combining it with the brand, and that is Flawed for Purpose. So if anybody followed, I know a few people did. That page is going to be done away with probably by the end of the weekend. So you can find me at Flawed for Purpose on Instagram, and then flawedforpurpose.com is my website, and it has everything on there from all the social media pages to everything, products and all that stuff. So thank you for having me, and I enjoyed all you beautiful ladies. Great time.
Absolutely, and thank you for joining. I really, really appreciate it. All right, so
thank you,
Minka.
Hey, thank you. Yeah, no, I completely agree. Thank you so much to all the ladies on the panel. I love that this was all respectful and understanding, and everyone was able to have their own opinions and keep their own opinions. And I think discussions like this need to be had more just because there's a lot of understanding and I think clarity that came from it. You can find me on YouTube, Better Biatches, and I just made a comment. That's about it. I really, really enjoyed this. So thank you so much for putting this together. I know that that's not easy, and especially thank you to the ladies because I know a lot of ladies usually flake, and we all showed up.
Oh, trust me, it was definitely not easy.
Yeah, I commend you. I know what it's like to try and get women together. We're not very, but everyone here is, so awesome.
I'll let you say it, not me. But yep.
You're welcome, sir.
All right, Robin. I know you said you got to close out, so
Yeah, thank you for having me on here. And I think it's always good to just get together with a group of women and kind of like to piggyback off what Mika said, have a group of women who can, even though we have different perspectives, maybe different opinions we bring to the table, it's always good to be able to listen and learn from each other. I think it was very respectful, and I appreciate that. I appreciate these conversations, and thank you for putting it together and including me.
absolutely. Thank you, thank you so much. I highly appreciate all of you guys all of you ladies, pardon me, that came on, and it's just been so great. I really, really appreciate it. All right. Red lipstick vibes. I see that you said you had to go close out. I was, I was gonna ask you where you from, but you said you from New Orleans because there was some words I was like, I think she's from New Orleans, but yeah, you said it. All right, yeah. So close out.
See, see, you hear him, right? He's been talking. I'm on this podcast. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for having me. You can find me on everywhere on YouTube, Instagram, everywhere at Red Lipstick Vibes Podcast. I come on various times, anytime I feel like it. So, and I do have an open panel. So anytime you see me live, you want to come up, you like what the topic is, always just come up. The link is always in the chat. I really, truly, truly enjoyed it, meeting all these lovely ladies. And I hope to make sure that we have this type of discussion again. Everybody's respectful, loving, and this is the type of environment that we can get good conversation and solutions when we're talking about, different topics. So I truly enjoy it. And I think, thank you, ladies, for having me. Thank you, Kings, for having me. I really enjoyed it. This is really good.
Absolutely. Red lipstick. I definitely will be pulling up on your show. So can't wait for that one. All right. So one, two, three. All right. And then there were four. All right. So I don't know if you all know. So I'll tell you all. Like behind the scenes, putting this together took me about 2 to 3 months. Something like that. So it definitely took time. Everyone's busy. Everyone has different schedules. Everyone lives in different coasts. Some people are in different countries. So yeah, it was definitely a challenge. I wanted to so I just kind of wanted to continue to get your thoughts. I think Kyla, I didn't get your thoughts on mental health. What are your thoughts on that?
Mental health, very, very, very serious subject. I know as far as me, when it has come to my mental health, I've suffered like for years when I first moved to the United States. I'm not from the United States. I was born in the United States, but at the age of 3 months, my father, who was in the Air Force, I was raised in England since the age of 3 months. So with moving from Europe to the United States, that was a big culture shock for me, a big culture shock. And I used to just think things were like something in my mind. It was something in my mind, because it was like I was having panic attacks, anxiety, a slight little depression. And I just thought it's just me. Me speaking with my family. They're like, maybe you need to go, like start working out, start going for runs, start, just keeping yourself busy, which I was with work, but it was just becoming worse and worse. And I was like, I don't need to go speak with a therapist. Like, that's not for me. It's just I need to get out, do more things, travel, which travel did help a lot, especially with me coming over to the Caribbean and just being with family over here. Like I noticed I didn't have that. But going back to the States, man, it was horrible. It was horrible. And I felt like I waited at the last minute before I went to go speak with someone. And I was just at my last point when it came to that. But taking the move that I did, moving out here to the DR, it really has helped me. I have not had a panic attack since. I don't suffer from anxiety. like I did being in the US. So it's like you really, really do have to take care of your mental health. It's very, very serious. Like it could like just so many things in your mind. It could just, you know, I'm a happy person. I'm always happy. People are just used to seeing me happy, smiling. I love being around people. I love helping people. But sometimes, I mean, you do have to put yourself first. I feel like I put other people before me, my health, everything. And you can't do that. You really have to focus on yourself, make sure you're good before you start helping other people. And you just have to take, you know, care of yourself. You really do. It's really, really important. So just to, you know, it's not the females that go through it only, it's, you know, men go through it too. So, you know, just don't be afraid to go speak to someone professionally. I feel like people, you know, just feel like, oh, if I go speak to someone professionally, like they're embarrassed to do that. At first I was, because I've always been good. I'm like, I never needed to go speak to a therapist or anybody, but it does help. It does help. You learn things about yourself that you probably didn't, you know before. So again, if you do need to move somewhere, if you do need to, you know, have like a change of scenery like I did, like do it. Just do it. You know, you just really, really need to take care of yourself. And I wish I would have done it years ago instead of just thinking, oh, it's just something that's in my head. You know, you really have to take care of yourself mentally and physically. Yeah.
Absolutely. I completely agree. Agree.
Yeah.
And Jane, what are your thoughts? You're on mute.
I know. I did it like 3 times. I will say I never really dealt with my mental health until the month of September. So I will say that it is highly important. I think that the younger you are, the better off you'll be if you start therapy soon and like early. Because I think the majority of people come from dysfunctional families, and we don't want to keep breeding that dysfunction. I think that mental health is really important as far as like if you really have severe depression or anxiety to the point where you can't function in life, you need to go to a professional. And there does not need to be any stigma around helping yourself and taking care of yourself. Even if your own family members don't want to pay for it, don't want anything to do with it, don't support it, you got to find a way to hustle for yourself, because at the end of the day, you're your best advocate. And that's pretty much it.
All right. V, what do you got? You're on mute. On mute.
That would help, right? So you want me to do both mental health and final thoughts?
Yes.
Okay. So mental health is something that I am 1000% advocating that we should do at a very young age. I think if you have mental health issues, and your parents are paying attention at a very young age, you get the sense that your child needs some assistance through life. I build a whole life coaching career behind what I'm saying, because I do feel like mental health is not taken seriously. It should be. It should be taken seriously from a young age. I'm not saying that you need to take your kid to a psychiatrist. I'm not saying that you need to, go to extremes, but you do need to educate your children on having the right tools, the right toolkit to deal with emotions, to deal with situations, to learn things that are not taught in a classroom. So mental health is that important that we need to start younger. Those of us that are older, of a certain age, need to understand that we all need help. We can't do it all by ourselves. It's great to be independent. It's great to stand on your own. but sometimes you need a little bit of coaching or a little bit of management to get to the next level, or maybe you're stuck, or maybe you didn't develop the toolkit when you were younger, so you need to learn to develop that toolkit older to be able to deal with different situations, different emotions. Mental health is part of self-care. We all need to do self-care. When we talk about mental health, I always think about what they tell me every time I get on a plane to leave DR and go back to the States. Put on your own mask before you help somebody else. So let's keep in mind that if we are not 100%, we can't help anyone else. If we don't take care of ourselves, we can't be there for our partners. We can't be there for our children. We can't be there for our communities. So make it part of your everyday to take care of yourself. If you're talking to yourself negative, if you feel like you're stuck, if you feel like you need help, don't be afraid of saying I need help. We all need help. So it's very important, and I hope that people start listening more to having either a therapist or a psychologist or a psychiatrist or a life coach. You know, maybe you just need that extra little ear to listen to. Maybe you just need a plan. You need a checklist. Get to know yourself. You know, part of what I do is a 360 analysis on the person or the company that I partner with or that I try to help in my coaching, because if I don't know what the problem is because you can't tell me, then that's a problem in itself. So let's take time to put attention to ourselves and mental health. Does that make sense? Is that good?
Yes, absolutely. Oh, and what are your final thoughts?
I want to thank you for putting the forum together. You know, I think it's great to see women of different generations, different ethnicities, different cultures come together, have the discussions that are real. I think it's necessary. So I applaud you for, you know, putting this together, putting time and effort. You said it took you some time. Time is money. So thank you for doing it. And let's continue to have these conversations. You know, let's open our minds to having therapists, to having life coaches, to aiming for higher, to being a better version of ourselves. Because when you are a better version of yourself, then you can take care of others.
Absolutely, and thank you for coming. I truly appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All right, Jane, what are your final thoughts?
I want to say sorry. I want to say thank you for inviting me, because I don't really do this a lot, and like sometimes I like to do this. I'm not like a YouTuber like that, but I had fun. I liked listening to everybody's perspectives, and maybe we can do it again.
Absolutely, I would definitely love to do it again.
Oh yeah, wait, my Instagram.
Oh, whoops.
Follow me on Instagram. I post it. I'll post it again. But it's Alexandria_Jane_5. That's it.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much. Yo soy Kyla.
Yes, thank you so much, Kings and Dreams, for inviting me to your panel with these beautiful women. Again, I know you've been trying to do this for a while. So this has been good, even though I came in late, excuse me. But from what I've heard and what, you know, being on the panel, it's just been very, very, very good questions and conversations. And my final thoughts is, first of all, I think we should do this again. And second of all, yeah, I just feel it's important for, you know, relationships are very important. I know there's a lot of women looking for good men. I know there's a lot of men looking for good women. And, you know, I feel like there's someone out there for everybody. I really do. I feel like there's someone out there for women to connect with and for men to connect with. I just feel like just let it come to you. I feel like you don't need to go search for it. I mean, I was raised to be like, you know, from my parents, don't go looking, just let it come to you. And I definitely feel like, you know, if you're just patient, if you just wait, somebody good will come to you, somebody that you could connect with, somebody who has the qualities that you're possibly looking for. You know, you just gotta just wait it out and relax. But until then, I feel like everybody just take care, enjoy your life, live every day like it's your last day, travel, go to different countries, meet different people, and yeah, more than anything, just take care of yourself. And yeah, I hope all of you guys take care, females on the panel and everybody in the chat. And thank you so much.
Absolutely, absolutely. Man, I just want to thank all of you all for joining. I know we all have very busy lives, things like that. So I definitely appreciate you all coming through. Um, this was definitely a great topic. And what I wanted to do, my plan was that I wanted to have different ages, different ethnicities, different backgrounds to get different perspectives. Not everyone's going to think the same, and everyone is going to believe the same thing. So this is one of the reasons why I put the panel together the way I did. I appreciate everyone joining today. I'm definitely going to do this again. I'll put this together again at some point. But I appreciate all of you all taking the time to listen, watch, and everyone in the chat. I know I didn't get to everyone's comments. My apologies about that. It was just good conversation that was going on here. I appreciate y'all. So stay purposeful, and I'm out of here.